Welcome everyone to Female Firesides episode 4. So I fast-tracked this episode a little bit because of some things going on, but I'll get into that in just a second. Welcome. I'm so glad you are here. My name is Emily Brandenburg. I am your host and owner of EB Design Agency. And today, like I said, we have kind of an interesting episode today. So my guest is still a female entrepreneur, and we are definitely going to discuss her journey into entrepreneurship, but we are also going to talk about some things going on with women's rights in the world, because this has to do with her business and her blog and her podcast. So I'm very excited to introduce Aquala Bogan. So welcome so much, Aquala. I'm so glad that you are here today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
You are so welcome. So before we get started, I've kind of started a new thing with this podcast. And I think it's needed because we were just chatting a little bit before recording this, and we're both just like in a state of kind of panic a little bit, rightfully so. But so I think this is appropriate. I like to start these now with a gratitude practice. So let's start with 3 things you're so very thankful for right now.
I am very, very thankful that I live in a state that protects abortion care. I'm grateful for a spiritual foundation to keep me sane. And I'm grateful to Instagram for connecting us, because I get to see you and talk to you today.
Yes, that should be the first thing. Like, we literally met, I guess it was last year. It was about a year ago. So we are celebrating our 1-year friendship.
That's right.
I love that so much. Oh, that is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And we live in some crazy times right now in the US, and as awful as it is, like, it is so important to remember that even though there is so much shit, and there's going to be some curse words flying in this episode today, people, but it's so humbling and just grounding to just think about the things that we do have in our lives that we're thankful for.
100%.
Yeah. So, okay. So you have a blog and a podcast, and your blog is called The Realist Woman, and you are just like all about women's rights and female rights and talking about the issues all over the world, like not just in the US. Like, you highlight issues from women all in, all different countries, which I think is amazing, because so many times a lot of those stories don't get told, and it's so sad. So you have this amazing blog, and then you have this podcast, but the blog came first, correct?
The blog came first. It was a long time in the making. I originally just wanted a space for literally my friends to go to, where they could see news stories on women and girls without having to physically go and search for them. And that started with the kidnapping of the Chibok schoolgirls in Nigeria in 2014. And, the world was outraged, and rightly so, but then the story died, which stories do. But I thought it was so urgent. I thought, if this were 200 Israeli girls kidnapped by Hamas, I don't know that the story would have died as quickly as it died. Right. So I decided to just create a website, but I had no idea what I was doing. I came from a journalism background. I thought, I'll just work for somebody forever, write this, write that, boom, boom, bam. That's it. That's my life. I did not know I'd be creating anything. And it became The Realist Woman. And so since 2018, it went live 2018. And so just about every week I was, pumping out stories, and then had some life events that led me to hypnotherapy, trauma therapy, subconscious reprogramming, like a whole new world, and spiritual spectrum, and personal development. And I decided that I wanted to kind of shift a little bit and focus on self-care. So that's kind of where the podcast came in, because my self-care does not exist without spirituality. And so I talk about that. But I have to say, since everything that's happened as of late, I decided that my second season, which is starting on Tuesday, July 5th, I'm definitely going to be weaving in, news stories that affect women and women's wellness, and how to achieve self-care with the chaos going on around us. So I'm,
right now.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's so needed right now. I'm so struggling with that. It's like, it feels like there's so much chaos and I can't quiet it.
Yeah.
My emotional state, my nervous system is struggling right now.
Yeah.
It is struggling. It has been struggling for the past few weeks. So I'm so excited to listen to that, because that, like I said, that's just so needed right now. So that'll be really nice to hear your take on that, because I need all the help in that area.
Yeah. We all do. We need healthy ways to process. We're going to feel what we feel. We're going to, and we should express what we want to express. But what does that look like? What techniques can we use? What am I doing? I'm going to share what I'm doing, but just because I'm doing something doesn't mean that it works for everybody. So I kind of want to really give, people just ideas on how they can help themselves and serve themselves in such chaotic times.
And I think that's so great, because so many times we hear, oh, do XYZ exactly this way and you'll see the same benefits in everything. We see that in business, we see that in marketing, we see that in websites, we see that in everything. But we're all different. Like, not one thing that works for someone is not always going to work for somebody else. So I love that you're going to give ideas, because it's probably going to be trial and error. I wish there was just like a switch that we could flip to just feel better instantly. I know for myself, just my personal self-care, all of the things that I had been doing previously are now no longer working. So like, basically, when my mind goes into overdrive and I go into panic mode, I really need like a good distraction.
Okay.
And all of my like normal things, like I have, like, I love to read. I'm obsessed with reading, and I have my Kindle. Like, normally I would read my Kindle, or I would meditate or something. Nothing, like literally nothing. And I'm just like, okay, I can't keep going on like this. Like, stress kills.
It literally will manifest into disease.
Yeah.
So
100%. So, now I'm stressing about that. So it's this
like, vicious
vicious cycle. So I'm trying to, trying to give myself some grace there, and trying to be, just a little more mindful of how I spend my day and my energy.
Yeah.
But I tell you, I am never more lit up and excited in my life and my business than when I am interviewing women for this podcast. So let's transition a little bit to the craziness that is happening right now in the US. I have so many words and no words at this time. I have rage and I have sorrow. I feel so sad for the young girls right now who are growing up and this is happening to them, because it's just as much as it's happening to us, it's happening to them. And they now are living in a world that is telling them that they do not have rights to their own body. And it's heartbreaking.
Oh yeah. They have, I would say maybe something in common with their maybe grandmothers or great grandmothers. Yeah. They're living in a world where this is not legal now, and we lived in a world where it was. I don't know a world without these rights.
I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It is crazy. And on top of it, like, I'm sure every woman in the country, and probably most of the world, has heard that this has been overturned in this country. Like, people are watching. The other parts of the world are watching us. Like, everyone is, like, eyes are upon us right now. And it's just so crazy to me, because I feel like a lot of people have heard about it, but they don't really know what all is entailed. I know I have a lot of friends in other parts of the world, and like, I've just mentioned to them that, oh my gosh, there's so much, like, I just feel so heavy right now. And they're like, oh, I've heard, I don't know any real details, but I've heard that that was overturned. And it's so confusing because now it's up to the states and every state is completely different. And so, before we started recording this, you mentioned, or maybe it was in the very beginning, you mentioned you're so thankful. That was right. One of your things you were thankful for was that you're happy to live in a state that is providing that and is protecting that. Some
Yes.
states are giant question marks. Some states had trigger laws that went into effect immediately. Some are working on legislation, but we're not quite sure what that's going to look like. And for me right now, being a nomad who's traveling over the US, I don't want to go to states where that's not protected, because what if that happened? What if I ended up pregnant and needed to get an abortion for whatever reason?
Mhm.
Like, how would that work?
Right.
And I'm just legitimately scared.
Yeah. And that's a feeling shared by all. Mothers are devastated for their daughters. And the thing is, the majority of women who were receiving abortions are already mothers,
Yeah.
and women of color.
Yeah, I know.
And yeah.
See, that's what kills me so much, because I have privilege. If I was in a state that banned abortions, I could probably find the resources. I would have the time. I would have the ability, the money, all of that to get out and find it elsewhere, right?
Yeah. Yep.
How many women don't have that? How many women don't
Too
have
many.
that? Like, it is targeting.
Yeah.
It is targeting people of color. It is targeting other minorities. It is targeting those women to keep them in those situations. And it is heartbreaking to me.
It is another angle of white supremacy.
100%.
And yeah, I mean,
I know.
the hits just keep on coming with that one. It's just,
Yeah.
but also, so this really started with politics and the church teaming up.
Yep. Yep.
In the, I believe, late 70s. And, there were Catholics who had been Democrats. And that a lot of that was thanks to Kennedy.
Yeah.
But, the right, the conservatives, took those Catholics and used abortion to draw them into the party. And it was really, weaponized from then on.
100%.
And, self-care, it's spiritual. I am a person who, really does rely on my spirituality for just about everything.
Yeah.
And this has been so devastating as a spiritual person, and a spiritual person who went to church, who liked church, who served church, who volunteered at church, who loves people at church, who likes that culture. I never really felt 100% authentic in that culture. I'll keep it real, but, and that may have been for a reason, but, I know for me, as I've gotten to know Jesus, because that's where I fall, I feel like he's made me more liberal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, way more loving, not liking people. I don't like those Supreme Court justices. I actually have even stronger feelings about them, but I love them enough as humans to want them to have every single right available to them, And that is the point. That is the point of Christ. Love people. That's the religion, love. And I'm not getting that from the church, which is, I'm sorry, they're responsible for this.
Yeah.
And they're celebrating this. And I'm disgusted. And I made a decision just last week, which has been very hard. I haven't celebrated it, that I will never attend a service ever again. I will never support these churches ever again. I'm not saying they don't do good. I'm not saying there aren't good, solid people. But when you are denying someone a basic human right, I'm out.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Absolutely. And I'm so sorry that that is our reality right now, and that you have had, because I know how much your spirituality, like how much of a foundation that is for who you are. And so that can't be easy for you. And it's something I did years ago. So, you brought up the church and, relationship to all of this, and particularly Catholics. So I have a fascinating tale to tell about Catholicism, because I was raised Catholic. My mom's whole family was Catholic, and then my ex-husband and his entire family were also Catholics. And I ended up, after my maternal grandmother passed away in 2010, I felt like I needed something in my life. I didn't have a church family, I didn't have anything, and I wanted something like that. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back to my roots. I'm going to go back and rejoin the Catholic Church. And so I took some classes and all of that, and I was confirmed. I went through the whole thing, and then we decided to get married in the Catholic Church. And this is where it gets fun. So we were at one of those, they required you to go through, the hoops you had to jump through to get married in the Catholic Church was insane. Not every church follows them to a T like this one did, not every parish, but this one, literally every single thing, like, okay, you have to go to a retreat together, a 3-day like retreat together. You have to have premarital counseling with a couple from the parish. You then have to take a test to make sure that your values are aligned, because if your values were too different for them, they weren't going to allow you to get married. Like, it was the most insane experience of my life.
Wow.
But we were at that retreat, and the guy starts talking about birth control. And I do not have a poker face. I would lose all sorts of money if I was a gambler, because I can't keep it to myself. And we're sitting there, and he said, I cannot make this up. He said, if you are on birth control, just know that you are aborting babies. And when you die, you are going to get to heaven, and you are going to meet all of those aborted babies. Well, apparently my face was saying all kinds of things.
Wow.
He pulled me off to the side, pulled us both off to the side afterwards. He said, you seemed to have a really strong reaction.
You think?
And I was sitting there, and I'm like, if I open my mouth right now, I am going to eat this man alive. So I was like, oh, did I? Oh, I just have such a headache right now. I'm like, I'm not even gonna, like, I'm not gonna change his mind. But that was also before I found my voice. If that happened to me now, oh man.
No.
He wouldn't be able to get away from me fast enough.
Right.
That is the most absurd thing I've ever heard, because I was on birth control at the time. And the most hilarious, I was not even on birth control for sexual reasons. Not that it's anybody's fucking business.
Exactly.
I was on birth control to help tame my crazy, heavy, out of whack periods. Thank you very much.
Yep.
So, like, for him to come in and say,
I can't. I literally, and it, there's so much from that. There's so much from that. It's like, number one, it is none of your mother effing business, sir. Okay. I don't give a damn what your label is. It is none of your business.
Yeah, no.
And they don't even consider birth control for those reasons. They don't even think about that. Because
we might then become loose women, and God forbid we make decisions about our sexual activity on our own. Like, oh my God, we have virtue to protect, don't you know?
Get out of here with that. Like, yeah. And this is why. So I have a friend from church, met her in church, and she's devastated over this. Her and her soon-to-be husband are devastated over this, but they've continued to go to the church that I met her at. I no longer attend. And she basically said she was going to talk with a leader in the church about, what just happened with the Supreme Court. And she said, do you have any advice for me? Or would you want to come with me? And I was like, if I come, Holy Spirit, hold me back. It's going to be bad. It's best that I do not come, because it is not going to serve them. It's not going to serve my highest self. It is going to serve the lower part of me, my flesh.
Yeah.
But there's no. It's going to be bad if I join. I don't have that grace right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And I'm so sick of like trying to justify and trying to persuade and explain why all of this bullfuckery is not okay. I'm so sick of trying to explain. I'm so done with having to explain that. Like,
I can't. I just won't engage. I can't engage.
Yeah.
And I just can't engage in this, and she did confirm, because I didn't watch the service. She did confirm, like, yeah, Sunday at church was devastating, and she.
Did they bring it up?
Yeah. Yes.
Why don't they pay taxes again? They're influencing votes, are they not?
I mean, I have felt this way about that for years.
That there should be penalties. There should be some kind of penalties. I mean, it's live streamed and posted on their website. Like,
yeah, yes.
This is okay.
And then some. They have free labor.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean, look, when I served, I did it authentically. I did it from my heart. I did feel at home at the time. It never lasts. It was my second church where, I had to start again, but, and it just doesn't last. And it doesn't last for whatever reason. No season lasts,
Yeah.
It did what it was supposed to do for me at the time, I guess. I don't know.
Sure.
But yeah, to hear from her, yeah, they are just on board with this. And so now there is it's like a breakup, because, many people who feel the way we feel have gone to that church for years. Yeah. It's like family. So now it's like, you're walking away from family forever. And there's grief. There's true grief there.
Yeah.
Because at one point it was home and you felt safe, and we no longer feel safe.
Mm-mm.
I don't feel safe.
So I haven't been a member of a church in the longest time. And part of it was that reason. But then also part of it was like, you know what? I know there are some denominations that allow women to be like pastors or preachers, but like, I will never step foot in a church that does not allow that sits there and says,
Right.
Oh, women aren't good enough. Like, you're not allowed to be up here. This is reserved for the men. Like, never,
Right.
never. But
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. What I'm struggling with, because I didn't have that aspect, but my actual family.
Okay.
Like, I don't think any of them are pro-choice.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how I came from these people, truly. Honestly, I'm like my mom is passed now, but I'm like, did she have an affair? Like, did that happen? I truly don't know how I'm from any of these people. And big families on both sides, and not one of them are. I may have a couple of cousins. I know I have some like second cousins that are liberal, but I am I am the lone wolf. And let me tell you, it has been a struggle to like talk to them, because I know that they're A, celebrating it, and B, that they voted for a lot of these people to get in there to remove those rights from me. And I just cannot fathom that. I just can't understand. And I'm like, for the sake of our relationship, I have to like remove myself right now, because I don't have, like you said, I don't have the grace. Like I can't hold my tongue at this point. Yeah. I'm so angry.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that. I mean, I can't talk about my family, but they'd be hypocrites if they even tried to, be like, don't go there. Don't go there. But it's just devastating, right? Like I think in the first podcast, maybe of the first episode, I'm not sure, but either first or second, I don't know. But I talk about how there's a story in the Bible about Paul. He was blinded when he saw Jesus, and then the scales came off and he was able to see again. But it was like to wake up, to really see this truth about our families,
Yeah.
about church family, about our country, about what's really going on. It's so painful. The depths of pain, I just, I thought I knew pain. No.
I know.
It's just wild, the depths of pain. And it's a collective pain. I think about this case. I think about all these women in this country who had scheduled abortions that are now not going to happen, at least where they thought it was. There are politicians in states trying to punish women for leaving the state to go and get their abortion care.
That is control.
Yes.
That is control at the very definition. Like, if you don't think this is about controlling women, you need to look up the definition of control.
Yeah.
Because that is 100% what this is about.
That's it.
Nothing to do with abortion.
That's
Nothing.
it.
It's all about controlling and keeping us in our place.
Boom. There you go. There you go.
Maddening. And I'm planning, or I was planning, I haven't planned it yet, 4 months out west. Arizona was going to be one of the states. Haven't booked anything yet.
Oh.
I'm like, how does this work? Do I ignore this and say, they're like, I love going to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
I would love to go to Arizona. I've never spent a long amount of time there, but I'm like, what do I do? Do I go? I'm not protected there. They've just said that, I don't have rights to my body. And I'm like, what would happen? Like, what if I got pregnant and I use an app to track? I mean, the fact that that might be like, that nobody really knows, nobody really understands. Like, they say that they'll protect your data, but in the form of a subpoena, what happens then? The fact that that can be made public and is not private, it's the most terrifying thing. Like, I'm questioning everything now.
Oh yeah, it makes you paranoid. It makes you paranoid. And, it's just the fact that that's even a thought though, like it blows my mind. It blows my mind.
No, I was of this mindset. I was talking to some friends who live in Baltimore, and the one woman is a lawyer and she works for the government. And she was just like, no one saw this coming, but she's like, we all knew that this was a possibility. And for some reason in my mind, and I feel like a lot of other women could probably relate to this, I thought, oh, it's past. We'll never lose that. We have that now, and we're progressing. We're getting better, right? Because that's typically how you think of it. We'll never lose that. Roe v. Wade will never go away. They'll try, but it'll never go away. The same with, like, oh, gay marriage, it's fine now. Like, that's never going to go away, right? But now, and maybe I have had to step aside from the news, but maybe you know more than I do. People are saying that they're going to come after gay rights next. And then they're saying that contraception is what?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
What?
They want to go after this is opening the floodgates for them. They're like, oh, we can do this. Oh, then we can do this, and this as well. Oh my God. I mean, it literally is a Pandora's box. I mean, it's bad, and I think that sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, we get too comfortable thinking that these rights are just as permanent as Cher or whatever, she'll never go away. But we do. And I remember when, the late John Lewis was alive, I would look at all of these civil rights leaders, right? From our past and until today. And this is before George Floyd, and they'd still be like, we gotta fight. And I obviously knew about the violence against, Black people and natives and whomever else, check the box, like, let's go down the list. But I kind of was like, is this really obviously we have issues, but is this really like what he's in his 70s, 80s? Like, are we there at Selma? I don't think these are those times. Well, you know what they've taught me is that the fight, unfortunately, never ends.
Yeah.
We cannot get comfortable.
Yeah.
We got comfortable with Obama, and then Trump came in.
Oh my God.
And what we didn't realize was that Republicans were, they were always one step ahead. They were going to the very local levels and starting there.
I know.
Okay.
I know. And how
They
many
didn't fall asleep.
did we think, oh, I'm busy. This is just a small election. It doesn't matter. You know, how many times has somebody thought that? And
All the time.
yeah. And and that's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened. And I'm just like thinking about this in terms of, I can't even wrap my head around the contraception thing. I can't even wrap my head around that. Because let's take a moment. Let's take a moment to discuss pregnancy and how that works. So a woman can only get pregnant and have a child once per calendar year, right?
Yep.
A man can impregnate 365 plus women in a given year. Why are we the ones that need why are we being policed when it should be men who are being policed? That doesn't make any sense to me. And the fact that I think I read this somewhere years ago and I have never forgotten it and I use it everywhere. But like, if men could get pregnant, not only would birth control be free and handed out on every street corner, it would come in nacho cheese and Cool Ranch flavors.
Girl, you better say that, because it is the truth. It is the truth that they need birth control. They need birth control. That's where we are.
Yeah.
It's long overdue. And I think I saw, so they were, I don't know where I saw this. It was like they had actually created some kind of male form of birth control, some kind of pill or something like that. And the men didn't like it because they had side effects.
Oh, oh, do they? Oh, goodness. Don't even get started on my laundry list of what the pill did to my body.
I mean, like you, I am all for it. Like, please go get it, make it free, give it. But for me, it didn't work for me.
Yeah,
it didn't work for me. I felt emotionally unstable. Something was going on with my hormones. Other women. Yes, I mean, it didn't work for me. It doesn't mean it doesn't work for millions and millions and millions of women.
Sure.
But for me, after the last time, I was like, well, this ain't happening. I'm just, condoms are great. Yeah. They've never failed me. So
yeah, absolutely.
So that's going to have to be what, I use if I use anything. But, and it's just really wild where we are though, because when I think about contraception, so I'm going to share this. I think I shared this on my podcast. I'm not sure, but I, as a Christian, okay, I'm not going to sit here and act like that I think God is like gung-ho about, a lot of the things that we do in the world, including abortions, okay? But I feel the way I feel about it for a reason. And like I said, the more I've gotten to know Christ, the more liberal he's made me. So I went to him and I said, God, this ain't going to change.
Yeah.
Okay. Lots of things about me are going to change and evolve. This will not. Yeah. You made me this way. Yeah. So what can I do for this cause? And he said, focus on contraception. Advocate for that. It's not that I cannot advocate for abortion care. It's that also put your focus on contraception. Okay. Yeah. And I said, okay. And I started looking into it. And I looked into Latin America and how there wasn't the same amount of access to contraception as we have here in the United States. Particularly, I looked at Mexico. And Mexico is a big ass country. I don't think people really realize.
It's really huge.
Mexico's huge. It is different in every state. Yeah. Not one state is alike. Yeah. I mean, the language and just they're not alike everywhere. Yeah. So anyways, but there's a lot of women in Mexico in rural areas who do not have access. It's a very conservative Catholic country. Okay. I found out that the number one form of birth control for women in Mexico, 40% were being sterilized. That was their only choice, is to be permanent, like just unable.
Wow.
I was in shock. And it said that women in Mexico, if they have access to contraception, they use it. But it said that Latin or Mexican women in the United States who do have access don't use it as often, even though they have access to it. So it was just, it's like, where they can't get it, they would use it if they could. But where they can get it, they're not using it as much. And I thought, just the data on it was just so interesting. But sterilization is what it came down to for 40% of women. And I wasn't sure. I couldn't even believe what I was reading. I was like, how is this real? This is ridiculous. They shouldn't have to do this.
That's crazy.
So I felt very, once again, grateful that I lived in a country where I have access to this if I wanted and needed. And now that can be threatened too. Are you kidding me?
It blows my, and none of it makes sense. That's the thing. Like, none of this makes sense. They're, the conservatives are all obsessed about, protection of life is what they keep saying. Life. But they don't seem to care about the mother's life at all. Because in some states, particularly Texas, looking at you here, even if, the I can't even speak. I get so angry about this, but something about, like, if the woman is raped, even if she's like underage, she's raped and she gets an abortion, like the father can now sue her if she, what? And then okay, you know what? You want to be extreme about it. You want to say, you don't want women to have the right to choose if they, slipped up accidentally and had unprotected sex and got pregnant and they want to get an abortion. You don't want to believe in that. Okay, I can almost be like, whatever about that. But when it comes down to the pregnancies that will kill a mother if they are not taken care of,
right? There
are a number of them.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're still saying, oh, sorry, you still can't have that one. Sorry. I'm sorry, what? I don't understand that. Because guess what? That baby's not going to live anyways.
Correct.
Like, I don't understand. Like, it's not, to me, it shouldn't even be called an abortion at that point, because it's like, if the baby is not going to live and they need to remove that so that the mother lives, like, I don't know, like, that blows my mind.
Yeah, right.
Like,
it's like they've gone so far, they don't even know what they're doing anymore. And yet they're still continuing. This is it's just beyond insane. It's just insane. Like, there's no other way to put it. It is absolutely ridiculously insane.
I know. I keep thinking it's like, I'm going to wake up and they're going to be like, psych, we were just, I realize I shouldn't make light of it, but I literally, like, is this happening? This can't be happening.
Right. It's completely surreal. It's just like, how is Latin America becoming more liberal on this?
I know.
How?
I know.
But we take a step forward and we take 5 steps back. That is what we do here.
What's that meme? It's like, oh, aren't time zones crazy? In Japan,
right.
It's 9 a.m.
Right.
In Australia, it's 12 p.m. In the US, it's 1942, where nobody has rights except for old white men. Like,
yes. And I have to, right now I'm looking at Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I know damn well I will never vote. Look, we had to get the Cheeto from hell out. Okay.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, you would think that hating somebody enough would help you vote for the other person.
Yeah.
That didn't work for Hillary.
No, it sure didn't.
So it's not a great strategy or tactic, but there is no way.
They hate women. That was why that didn't work.
Yeah, well, yes,
they hated women more than,
right. But I just don't see him as somebody who is so outraged to the point.
No,
right?
I'm like, where are you? like, where are you? Like, you're supposed to, I'm the same way. Like, again, I'm totally with you. Like, we had to get, I can't even say his name, Dump. We had to get Dump out of office. Like, he had to go. Dear
Yeah.
God, he's caused enough damage as it
Oh
is.
my God. Oh my God.
He had to go. But like, I just, and again, I have not been watching, I haven't watched or heard really anything of his reaction to it. I saw one post that he made about it. And I'm like, okay, that's great. You are saddened for us, but what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, don't just say that we need, like, do something.
Do it.
Dying.
I don't see,
Dying from this.
yeah, I don't see the establishment Democrats doing anything. I don't. I hear other voices saying, hey, they've gone too far. We have to impeach these justices.
Yeah.
You know, what about codifying? You know, and Obama, the more I learn about him, and I wasn't happy with him even when he was in office. Because I think when he left office, we were bombing 8 countries, something like that. I mean, I wasn't too happy with him, but he had a chance. He talked about codifying Roe v. Wade.
There was a small window. But they focused on Obamacare instead, but that took so long that someone died and then we lost our.
Right.
We lost.
Right. And, you know, honestly, I look at the Supreme Court justices, I'm not shocked by any of them.
Yeah.
But I will be honest, and it was because of Obamacare. It's because he came through for Obamacare. I was holding out for Chief Justice Roberts because it seemed like, not all the time, obviously. I know his stance, but at times he had some sense. Yeah. So I thought, God forbid it comes down to this, maybe he will be the one, because he was the one with Obamacare, you know, in upholding it.
Disappointment when you're like holding out a slight glimmer of hope, and it just doesn't happen. Like, isn't that the worst? It died.
And then I look at Clarence Thomas, and I don't even know how his wife isn't being investigated, with her wanting to overturn the election. I mean, contacting Trump's chief of staff, you know, texting him after the elections and blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know. But I look at Clarence Thomas as not only a shit stain on the Supreme Court, but a shit stain on the Black community. Okay. Literally poo. Yeah. And I cannot help but go back to Joe Biden, who was the leader in roasting Anita Hill. Yeah. When she accused his grabby ass of grabbing ass, you know. So
there are many that is not fucking okay. Like, that is never, is that ever okay? Like, why was that ever okay?
I take it back to Biden's, you know, former days as a senator, and he's responsible for a lot of horrific legislation, for backing it. And the Democrats just have no real backbone. It's the only thing you can admire about a Republican, is they will not yield. They will not yield. Well, unfortunately, it's the wrong party that's not yielding. Okay. Yeah. We need people who will not yield when it comes to human rights. Yeah. And we don't really have that. We don't have that we're not unified. No.
That I hate so much, because the men who are pro-life and all of this, but it's the women. It's the women.
Yeah.
It's so depressing that we're not unified as a whole, as a gender, against this. Like, it just,
some women, they don't mind remaining in chains.
Yeah,
they're comfortable there.
I actually read something about that right after Trump was elected, because I was like, help me understand. Like, and it was something about that people will vote for the oppressors who keep them down. It's like a psychological thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, that helped my brain slightly understand. I was still horrified, but it helped me slightly understand. So something I'd kind of like to, because this, I mean, we could talk about how awful this is
Forever.
really. There's no amount of time in the world, right?
Yeah.
But maybe, talking about things that we can do, because it feels hopeless. There are times I feel so helpless, like there's nothing I can do. But there are things that we can do. One thing I wanted to bring up, I don't know if you're familiar with this woman. She is just a complete advocate for women's rights. She's all about educating women about money and their finances and wealth and building wealth. Her account is Her First 100K. And she started sharing some things about like boycotting between July 3rd and July 5th for women to just not spend any money if you're able.
Oh, I saw this.
Yes. So
yes.
I am participating in this. So July 3rd through July 5th, I am not going to be spending money. So I will get my groceries ahead of time. I mean, it's literally everything. Like, don't spend money on groceries, online shopping, just like don't, if you can. Again, if possible. Obviously some people will need to spend money and stuff, and that's fine. But like, because we're responsible. She shared a statistic of like 83% of like, it was some crazy number. I'll have to look it up. But if we can even be a little bit of a pain in the ass. Like,
oh my gosh. Well, and again, it does come down to money. I mean, obviously, this decision was about control. It was about control. But I was thinking about when you said, I don't know if I'm going to go to Arizona. That's the thing. They want your tourism dollars. They want your Airbnb dollars, like, and I really do think if this in some way really hurts our economy, well, I don't think they'd be as passionate for some reason about this.
Exactly. So I'm looking at, I mean, Utah is obviously out. Utah, I think Idaho as well. I wasn't planning on going as far as California, but I know California is safe. I can't remember where Nevada stood. I think Nevada was okay.
Yeah. I think Nevada's okay.
But New Mexico, I was shocked. They were okay. So I used to live in New Mexico, and that was a conservative bunch.
Okay.
Around there, but I think New Mexico was okay.
Okay.
So New Mexico was all right. Colorado is fine.
Okay. Yep.
But no, it's just like, because that's something that I have to think about. Like, I have to and I'm very thankful, right? Because I've been in the South since the end of January, and so I'm in Pennsylvania now, and I'm going to be going to New York State tomorrow. So I'm like, okay, New York. It's crazy how much stress that you don't realize that adds.
Oh my God.
When I was like, oh, I'm in the North, I'm protected here. I literally felt like a weight off of, I can't imagine living permanently in a city that didn't. But I also think we should do a little bit of a shout out to some of the corporations who are, I don't know if you saw Dick's Sporting Goods, and there've been a slew of them ever since, who are supporting their employees. They're saying, you know what, we stand with you. Abortion is healthcare, and if you need it, we are not only going to give you the time off to get it, but you are in a state that it is banned. We are going to give you a stipend to get there and for a support person to go with you. I'm like, hell yes. That's what we need. We need those corporations to stand up and make these, exceptions, because that was I read that and I felt a little bit of a glimmer of hope.
Right. I mean, I think I saw Patagonia.
Yeah.
Was one of them. But I did see the big, I've seen Amazon. I've seen, the problem is, so while that is amazing, and I believe they mean it, I believe they mean it. I also know that these are corporations that have donated to the very people who advocated for this happening in the first place. So it's like, oh God, like I will take you supporting these women and paying for, I will take that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you go and you donate to the people who created this problem in the first place. It's just like, oh God.
Yeah.
I guess we can't win them all. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, we'll take what we can get right now, but this is the fight of a lifetime.
Oh,
This is, we just can't get comfortable. Comfortable is something we are not allowed to know as women. We're just not allowed to know it.
No, we're not.
Okay.
We always have to fight.
We always have to fight. If you're gay, no, it's a lifetime fight. If you're Black, you already know. You already know. So it's just, we can't get comfortable. We can't get complacent. We have to be one step ahead.
Yeah.
Because here we are without this right as law of the land.
Yeah.
And it's devastating. And it does feel like we're helpless, right? But there are tons of organizations and funds
Absolutely.
that if you're, blessed to give a little,
Yeah.
you can. And because they have a strategy, they have an organization, they have, they know what to do, they know where the resources need to go, and they're trying to go after the actual, because most abortions happen by an abortion pill now, or at least a nice majority of it.
Yeah.
They're trying to go after that now, which I think that that's protected, but I'm not completely sure. But again, there are funds to donate to make sure that we can, you and I can stock up on this just in case someone needs it. It can be given to them, but obviously, we want them to like speak to a doctor, like, okay, this is what you do, this is how you take it. You got to take care of yourself. You got to, so that they can take it and be fine, and because God forbid there's a complication or something, we want them to be healthy and well. And because, it is a physical thing, but it's also an emotional thing. It's a mental thing. Most women, I want to say 98% or something like that, who get abortions do not regret it, maybe even higher. They knew, it wasn't something that they wanted to do, but they did. And it was the right choice for their lives.
100%.
So, yeah.
And I think that's great. There are a lot of funds to donate to, and, voting with your dollars is just as important.
It's powerful.
And think about like where you spend your money. That matters. That makes a difference. And if you, like you said, if you are in a position where you can donate to some of these organizations, they absolutely could use your money. And I am in no way affiliated with any of these. I don't get anything from recommending any of this. But I just know that women need help. We need help right now, and we need a plan. We need something. And these funds are doing just that. I know a couple of accounts off the top of my head. Sophia Bush has a really great account that she talks about. I don't know if you remember her from One Tree Hill. Yeah, she's an incredible activist for women's rights. No, she's amazing. So she has a lot of resources on her page, on her Instagram, but then she shares that, I think it's called Emily in Your Phone. And she is also sharing a bunch of resources, and I will plug all of these because this has been helpful for me, because it's like, okay, we know it's happened. We're so frustrated. We don't know what to do, and we don't know where to go. We don't know like who to kind of turn to. And so these accounts can kind of help you understand what's going on, and, know like where you can put your money. And, you don't have to give a lot. Like before this happened, I started donating. I think it's Act Blue. I've made a recurring donation with them. I think it's like $15 or $20 a month is all that I'm giving. But it's like, it's something. It makes
Yeah.
me feel slightly better that I'm doing something, even if it doesn't feel, but you think if 100 women gave $25 a month, how impactful would that be?
Exactly. Every dollar, it literally does matter. Every single dollar really does matter.
Yeah,
So whatever you can give, it really is, you're planting really beautiful seeds,
absolutely.
you know.
Planting the seeds for the future of females in this country,
Yeah. Yeah.
and for them to get the right care that they need.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I hope that in my lifetime I see this reversed.
Same.
I hope
Same.
that it goes the other way, and I hope that
Yeah.
see, because it feels like you said, we've gone so far backwards, and we
Oh
were
my
making
God.
so much progress, and now that progress feels gone.
Yeah.
But I will leave you all with this as we wrap up. I read something one time that said, before a country or a person or what have you, before they really move ahead and progress and get to the place that like they're striving to get to, a lot of times they go backwards first. And that gave me a slight little bit of hope that we're going back, just because we are going to be propelled and progress so
Yeah.
much further than we could possibly imagine in the years to come. So I am holding on to that with every fiber of my being,
Yeah.
and hoping that is the case for women's lives, for Black lives, for Indigenous lives,
Right.
um,
Right.
for
Right.
men's lives, for all of them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so thank you so much for being on today. I know this was a heavy discussion, but so needed.
Well, this is an everyday for me. So it's just like, I talk about this stuff every, obviously in private, but I do share it on my Instagram, my feelings. And for me, I used to be afraid to really share my feelings, especially because you have, like on our platforms, we have family watching, friends who maybe don't agree, my church family watching, and it's like, but I don't give a fuck anymore. I really, and I am who I am. And I've had to get really comfortable with being very human and being okay with that because of the whole, thing about Black women being angry. Like I had to get comfortable
Yeah.
with my anger, but knowing how to use it productively, how to express it, and
How to harness it
how to harness it
to do
for
good.
good. Exactly.
No, I love
So I don't give a fuck
it.
anymore. If you don't like it, don't look at me, which is, for you, a sad thing. If you don't want to look at me, that's on you. You are blessed,
I will tell you, the best thing I ever did was to block all of my family members from my social media page.
Oh God.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Right.
I
Right.
have my dad on there, but I don't.
Yeah.
He's on Instagram, but he doesn't really use it.
Yeah.
Explain it. Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
no, I got rid of all of them a long time ago. I'm like, I cannot. I just can't. Because
Right. It's your right.
One last little story. I had
Yeah.
my aunt, who I no longer speak to. She which you'll understand in a second. When I was married, I did not take my then husband at the time's last name because I just didn't want to. I wanted to keep my last name. And she literally, I don't know if she messaged me on Facebook or commented on the post. She was like, "How dare you? What would Jesus say?"
Nothing.
He wouldn't care, actually.
Next. What's for lunch? Maybe. May I please have some wine?
I know.
Nothing. Yeah. Nothing.
So I had that was a happy day for me when I got rid of the family. Because that's a real thing. Like we get scared to share stuff. We get scared of the judgment. We get scared of the backlash. We get scared of the trolls. We get scared of all of that because people will change how they treat you if they don't agree with stuff that you put out there. But I'm with you. I stay silent no more. My voice will be out. It's going to be loud. It's going to be proud. I'm going to speak my truth. And if you don't like it, there's the door.
It's too damn bad. Yeah. It's healing. We need to remove the blocks in our throat chakras. So it's just healing.
Exactly. Well, if you do not already follow Aquala on social media, I will plug all of her information. You definitely need to check out her blog, The Realist Woman, because she does highlight so many crucial news stories about women and girls in the entire world. Things that I know just in the short time that I've known you, I've learned so much because you've highlighted so many stories that I never would have heard about. And it's just so important that these women and girls, still have a voice. And I love that you share that. So definitely follow her and check out her podcast as well. And like I said, I will plug all of your information in the description and the captions. And again, thank you so much for being on with me today.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure. I get to see you.
I know.
I get to talk to you.
I know.
And I do believe we will meet and embrace.
Yes.
So that will happen.
It
Yes.
has to happen.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks again.